So I had to do a whole set and wardrobe change because I was initially going to be outside because I like being outside. But of course, today on Sunday Cervix Sermons, we're talking about coochie feeling like adequate hydration. And so, in proper form, it started raining. So, yes, coochie feeling like adequate hydration. So, that is what we are talking about right now. So, I am just going to I have so much to go over. Um but so as y'all can see, this is pretty lengthy. So it's about 27 pages of information and materials. We're not going to go over all 27 pages. We're just going to do a highlight of specific things that we're going to talk about today. So welcome to Sunday Cervix Sermons. If you are new to me, I am Tisha. This is Oreo. And yeah, this is where we are profanely profound and profanely prophetic, because sometimes having conversations about womb wellness and about how it is that we ensure our not only womb wellness but our overall wellness as women, we have to have conversations that are just real, just real conversations. And so yeah, so thank you so much for everybody who is joining the live and for everybody who tunes in on the replay. Thank you. I appreciate you. And if you love someone that has a womb, make sure that you share this information with them as well. So I was looking for something specific, y'all, before, and this is why I was gonna be outside. Plus I like being outside, but this is some part why I was gonna be outside. 'Cause Oreo, he likes to. He's a Leo, so but he's a July Leo. So it's funny because I've come to realize that July Leos, in terms of the people, that whole Leos love attention. So I'm August, right? August born Leo. So the August type, different than the July type, right? So we still love, but I realized how much Oreo is very much like an attention seeker. Like, y'all, he is a celebrity. Everywhere we go, Oreo is the star because yeah, he just be loving it. He loves it. So anyway, yeah. So he has his ball. He took the cue, I guess, and he got his ball. Thank you, poopies. So he got his ball and he went over there so we can focus. So coochie feeling like adequate hydration. So I want to really dive into what your womb actually, what we all know what the womb is. And when I'm talking about the womb, I am talking about someone who is born a woman that has the reproductive anatomy, or even if it's been removed, but they were born genetically with the reproductive anatomy of a woman. Now, I am also talking about the mouth as a womb, because as above, so below. They are connected. They are both portals of creation, right? So I'm speaking about both. But in this context, I am focused on the feminine anatomy, that is the womb. Even though we will talk about a particular um, type of herbs that are going to be beneficial for both, and I'll tell you why. So, long story short, there are several things, and like I said, there's 27 pages, y'all. So, if you are interested in receiving the 27 pages of information about the different herbs, their constituents, their contraindications, all of the things, with respect to womb wellness herbs that have been traditionally studied and used in natural remedies and natural herbalism and things like that, then make sure you put it in the comments, right? Interested in the comments. And here's the thing, y'all. I just want y'all to know, this whole like letting AI do stuff and send emails, and I'm not there yet. I'm still trying to figure out how to actually do that step and all the things. So I don't know how, like, people, you go in the comments and you type something and then you receive like a DM that says something. I haven't set that up yet. Don't know how to do that. If somebody know how to do that, I'm sure I can find this information on YouTube. But if it's simpler, if someone can explain it to me simpler, just, message me, let me know. But also, if for some reason, you can also send me an email at consciouscreationslive@gmail.com, because that's where you will be receiving the PDF that I will send you. That's where you will receive it from. So let me see how many there are here, y'all. What you will be receiving, if you are interested, please understand what I mean, or understand what I mean. If you are not just interested, but you believe truly, and you know that this information is useful, and that you will actually use it, or the person that you send it to will actually use it, only then do I want to use the energy. Because right now, like I said, I'm sending these personally, and so I'd rather use my energy to do things that are going to be, reciprocated and beneficial, right? Because if I'm going to just send you information that you're never going to look at, it's a waste of everybody's time. Let's not do that, right? So this is in part why we're talking about adequate hydration, because in all of these herbs that you will receive information about, there's 24, y'all, 24. And with all of these herbs, they're all centered around different aspects of what it is that the womb needs in order for it to be healthy, right? Healthy cellular structure, healthy tissues, healthy, just healthy energetically, all of the things. It's important to talk about the hydration. The reason being because we're starting from the premise that all life was birthed from the waters, all mammals, right? If you were born of a woman. You were born from a womb. This is why what your coochie feeling like matters, right? Because let me back up. And because you were birthed from a woman and birthed from a womb, and that your body is around, they say, 70% water. Either way, most of your body is water, fluid. So it is important what is in the waters, what's swimming in the waters. So if any of you, I trust that most of y'all have gone swimming, right? If you've ever been swimming in murky water, listen, I don't really swim in murky water because of this, because what's in there, right? Well, hello there. Hey, welcome, welcome, welcome. We're talking about swimming, and right now we're talking about swimming in murky waters, right? And so when you are swimming in murky water, first of all, you can't see what's in there. So it could be all type of stuff swimming around your feet. You would have no idea, right? And so it's important to know, if you are willing to go there, what expect the unexpected, right? But it's a difference when you are swimming in murky waters, when you are swimming in salt waters, and when you are swimming in fresh water. Let me tell you something. So I went swimming in fresh water. No, was this the second time? Yes, the second time I've gone swimming in fresh water. The first time, interesting, and I'm originally from Florida, so this is absolutely crazy. The first time I went swimming in fresh water was in Aruba. Mm. It's just a very different experience to be in fresh water, where you look down and you can actually see the bottom, right? And I'm not talking about, like, miles and miles out into the ocean, right? I'm talking about along the shore, fresh water, you can actually see the fish swimming around your feet, right? So there is no surprise, generally speaking. Obviously, there's bacteria and other things that you cannot see. But we're talking about the things that you can see. But again, we're talking about the ocean and the waters. And in the oceans and the waters, there are both. There are things that you can see, and there are things that you can't see, right? It depends on the type of water, the freshness of the water, whether the water is stagnant and has been sitting, whether the water is attracting, and if it's stagnant and it's been sitting, the insects and all of the things, the parasites are attracted to stagnant waters, right? And so this is why internally and energetically operating from that place of flow is so important. So when we talk about adequate hydration, we're talking about flowing waters, right? We're talking about, we're talking about spring water. You know what I mean? Like life, water that has life and movement and flow, because that is how water, that is the nature of water. It is fluid, right? I'm sorry, something in my eye, y'all. But yeah, the nature of water is fluid. And so this is why we start from this premise, is that if you were birthed from a womb, and while you were in the womb and gestating and being formed in your mother's womb, you were sitting in fluid, that should tell you the importance of fluid. That should tell you the importance of water, but not just water, hydration, right? So this is where we talk about a deeper, it's deeper than water, it's hydration. And the reason that matters is because, again, all of your, everything through your body, everything is made up and contains these fluids. So even on a cellular level, your cells are made up of electromagnetic currents. So it's both electrical and it's magnetic, right? You need both. And that is how your cellular structure is comprised. And so if you are operating from a liquidity deficit on any level, what that looks like is, if what's left is electricity, right? Your nervous system need both, but your nervous system is more electrical. So this is why when you see pictures of the nervous system, it looks like electrical, it looks like electrical signals, right? And so because of that, you imagine your body as an electrical system. And so if there's no water flowing and working in conjunction with that electrical system, then now all you have is these strong currents of electricity. And then what that looks like is cells becoming fried, right? Fried cells. So, and I mean that on every single level. And so this, again, this is one of the reasons having consistently, what you're consuming is solely being fried, because it no longer has that life-giving current, that is that life-giving current from water, because you also get current from electricity. But that life-giving current that comes from water, if that is lacking, now what you have is that dryness that is now happening, because the electricity is sending out its signals, and its signals are what they are. They don't have, they don't, they're not being properly fed in order to co-create. I trust that that makes sense. And so this is why these conversations are so important, because most of us have not really experienced ourselves and our cells on a cellular level. And so these types of conversations are on a cellular and in a micro level. So when we talk about the oceans and the depths of the oceans and all of that stuff, this is what we're talking about, right? So, one of the things that is so interesting to me is when you get to the depths of the ocean, right? Like, so, if you've heard, like, let me know, right? So divers, when they go diving into the ocean, there's certain levels of depth that they cannot reach, because it is literally called the depths of the ocean is measured in fathoms. And so when something is unfathomable, right, that means the levels of depths are unfathomable, right? So all of these words that we have in the English language that speak to this flow of water, this regenerative principle, come from this word current. This is, of course, also where we get our word currency, right? Banks, right? This is also where we get, all of these financial words that our systems depend on. And so when I'm talking about liquidity, I'm talking about liquidity on a cellular level. Because before there was any external system depending on your internal liquidity, there was your liquidity, right? And that is ensuring that comes from our cellular health and our cellular wealth, which begins from an energetic level, and everything gets dispersed from I look at it as like, let me just, the mitochondria, right? So when I look at the mitochondrial DNA, we talk about the, most of us have heard about mitochondrial Eve, which is the oldest or closest living relative that all humans can trace their lineage back to, right? And so because of the mitochondria and the mitochondrial DNA, it is more than the power bank, right? It is the power bank. It is the power. It is the bank. Human systems have taken their intelligence and that came from this inner knowing and externalized that and built external systems in order to extract that internal energy and that internal flow and that internal liquidity from the human body, specifically from the womb through the womb, right? And that is why you see that these systems depend on reproduction of women in order to continue, because the women birth the labor force. This is why there's so much interest in whether or not women are having children, right? So, but I know I digress, y'all. But I talk about this stuff all the time because this is, it's real life, right? And so, yes. All right, I got to go through my notes, y'all, because listen. Please chime in if you have anything to add, anything, because this is a different type of SunDay Cervix sermons, right? Because all of these are meant to be engaging and interactive, as we, right? This come as you are. This is what I was saying, like you missed in the beginning. I was saying I literally had to do a set change and a wardrobe change because I was going to be outside. And of course, right about 1 p.m. and as we talk about adequate hydration, it started to rain. So it's okay because I know this as a confirmation for me that listen, we're on the right track. We're doing what we're supposed to be doing. So yes, so water, back to the hydration and back to water first and foremost. So because we are birthed through waters and we come through waters, we can see water as something that water is emotional memory. So water is many things, of course, but in the body, right, water holds memory. So let me give you an example. So when you make, and I forgot to listen, this episode is sponsored by, of course, we're conscious creation. So it's sponsored by the Flower of Life tea. And I hope that you can see that because it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful design. So it's sponsored by the Flower of Life tea. And so the tea actually comes in the tea envelope. So, but this is just my own little stash here for creation purposes. But the reason I say that, the reason I bring that up is because, we're talking about the emotion, right, that is contained in the water. And so when we have all of our emotions, it's emotional and it's water current, it's water energy, right? And it's that energy in motion. And so just like when you order your Flower of Life tea and you take these dried herbs, you add water to these dried herbs, you brew it, and you bring heat. So you take one element, the earth element, you add the water element, you add the fire element, right? You speak life, which is the air element, into this flower of life to bring life, not only to this particular blend of tea, but to anything that you're adding water to it. So you're taking it from one state to another state. And so the same way, when we add whatever it is to our internal waters, it changes this, it changes the state, and it changes the end. The lights just flickered. I don't know if you saw that, but it changes the state of the thing based on adding another element. And so when we have these relationships, right? And we exchange energy in any form with another person. And so now we're adding whatever they got going on, even if it's not just one person, if it's just the energy of people, the world at large, right? You're taking this energy and you're taking that into your emotional waters, and it is changing the nature of your waters, right? So it's maybe they've come and they've brought this extra fire, right? And so now they're boiling your waters. They're changing your waters from what they were to another element. They're changing the nature of what is happening within you internally. So this is a prime reason why so many, like when women get pregnant, they're taught you need to rest, right? You need to not get stressed out, because all of those things are external frequencies, external energies, external things that change the nature of our internal condition and our internal waters. And so as women, what happens is that can shape what is flowing through our bodies, whether or not the water is going to be stagnant, right? Whether it's going to be murky, whether it's going to be salted, whether or not it's going to be fresh, whether or not it's going to be gone. And this is why we talk about adequate hydration. Because in the same way, like water, so even when we drink a lot of water, water it's H hydrogen, two hydrogen atoms or molecules, two hydrogen, molecules meet with one oxygen molecule. That makes H2O, what we know as water. Now, when we talk about hydration, right? Adequate hydration, we're talking about a deeper level. So now we're talking about going from the river bank to going into the ocean, right? When you diving into the ocean, you need something deeper, right? You need something deeper to go out there and swim in them waters, right? So unless you become overwhelmed and get taken under the current, right, into the lower world of your own body emotionally, right? And so one, let me put it this way. It was something else. Let me see, because I want to focus on this, y'all. Because let me see. I know, 27 pages. Let me know if you're interested in receiving this. Just let me know in the comments, and I will make sure that you get a copy of this, because I want to make sure that people know what's what. And I am not a trained doctor. These statements have not been, what is the word? Affirmed? Validated? What's the word? Either way, I'm not a doctor. I'm telling you what it is that I know from experience. So you take this information and you do with it what you will, right? Okay, tissue hydration versus water consumption. Okay, so I think it's important to start from here. So do you garden? Anybody, like anybody? Let me know. So yes, if you're here live, yes, let me know. But also for those of you who watch it on the replay, let me know in the comments. Do you garden? Because I want to talk about this from a garden, because you'd understand this from a gardening perspective. And even if you don't garden, I trust that you still will be able to understand this from a gardening perspective. So I am in the Maryland, DC area, right? So the soil in Maryland and the DC area is that, like that red clay soil. They also have it in North Carolina. So there's other places that have red clay soil. But if you have red clay soil, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So imagine it being like you have soil. right? You have this red clay soil, but the thing about red clay soil is it holds on to moisture. Why? Because the soil is dense and compacted. So what that means is it has to be tilled. You have to, so they have a thing like a tilling thing, child. And like, is that what it's called? Tiller? What? Anyway, it pokes holes in the ground. So if you need to, like, plant seeds, things like that, you want to make sure that you're tilling the soil and turning over the soil in order to loosen up the soil to allow what may be waterlog, right? Meaning a huge concentration in water, so that the plants will not be able to, not all plants. Some plants thrive in those conditions, others do not. Right. So what it does is it actually it dries out, not even dries out, I'm sorry, it waterlogs the roots of the plant. Right. And so think of hydration like that, right? It's you can drink the water, but if it can't get through the soil in order to bring the life that the soil needs in order to sustain life on any level, right? That's your own life, as well as, birthing another life through your womb. So in order to sustain life biologically, right? And I also mean that, remember we talked about liquidity, liquidity. So if you're experiencing issues with your finances, right? Liquidity, right? Liquidity, liquidity. So look at where your life may be waterlogged, where you need to cleanse and till the soil internally in order to make sure that the water that you are receiving, and that's the physical water that you're drinking, as well as the people that are pouring into you. So being able to actually receive from people willing to pour into you, and not willing, because it's not even like, there's something wrong with you and you don't deserve that. But it's to say that when we experience all of these emotional things that can pull from our waters, what can happen is, because now on a cellular level and on every level we become dehydrated, not only do our cells become dehydrated, our spirit becomes dehydrated. And so when people pour into the soil, nothing is able to penetrate and get through, even though you may be receiving water, because you don't have adequate hydration. And part of that adequate hydration is making sure that you have the seeds to sustain adequate hydration and allowing those seeds to actually be planted in your soil. So one of the ways that we can do that for ourselves is, like I said, drinking lots of spring water, live live water. So when I say spring water, I'm talking about water that literally flows from a spring. I know most of us didn't grow up, with, natural flowing spring waters. But some people, listen, there's levels to this wealth thing. There is levels to this wealth thing and this liquidity stuff. So if you grew up in a place where you had the wealth of being able to drink from a natural flowing spring, oh my gosh, please let me know where this is. Let me know what this is. Um oh, because I didn't tell y'all about the second place that I with the fresh water. It was in Florida. I'll get back to that. But that just reminded me of that. So drinking natural spring water. Why? Because one, it is alive, it is flowing, it is not still water, right? So you're already receiving this natural flowing water, but also because what happens is, as the water is flowing, it's flowing over the rocks. And obviously all of these things are natural to the earth. And so it's picking up the natural trace elements and the minerals and all of the things that are naturally occurring in freshly flowing waters. And so you are receiving the benefits of all of these minerals, all of the nutrients, all of these things that your body needs to thrive. Now, again, I know that there's also like things that live in fresh waters. Yes, I know. So, but my point is spring water. Spring water, all of these things are very beneficial to the body. Deeper than water, the hydration level. So now we're talking about structured water. And let me tell you why structured water is important, because hydration, and because I want to read this to you because of several things. So, hydration in the body is more than intake. So, this is why we can't just focus on the water. Hydration depends on healthy cell membranes, electrolyte balance, circulation, connective tissue, mucosal integrity, nervous system regulation, inflammation status. So that is what, seven things, right? So again, I'm going to read that again because I want y'all to do your own research on this. So hydration depends on healthy cell membranes, electrolyte balance, circulation, connective tissue, mucosal integrity, nervous system regulation, and inflammation status. Now, some herbs, of course, herbs are herbs, right? They're like people, they do what they do, right? So some herbs address one thing, some address, another thing. There are a few that address several of those things at once. Then there's also, a blend of those things that you make into a herbal blend, a tea, in order to give your body all of these things for adequate hydration. So I want to talk about, of all of these seven things, right? And maybe what we'll do adding, yes, you know what? Let me make myself a note here. Make myself a note. So what we will do during this series is we will go over all seven of those things and the herbs that support those particular things. Now, eventually, like I said, because I may want to, I may put this, like in my Goddess Temple. So it's Goddess Temple 369. That's a school community. So you can go on school.com and go to the Goddess Temple 369. You can also get there through my website, thetishahillman.com. The reason I'm saying that is this, like, some of this information is to be held in it is to be held in a sacred place, right? In order to have these conversations at a deeper level, obviously, being able to have these in a sacred space, and not just randomly on not just on the internet, but really being able to coexist in a community that we can talk about these things and like really build. So, but for now, what I'm thinking is to do a series where we're talking about all of these things that we just read. But for today, what I want to talk about is what does it say? Mucosal integrity. Now, there isn't a particular herb that I want to mention here, because this particular herb, and y'all have probably heard of some of these herbs too. I'm just going to name a couple of other ones. But the mucilage or mucilage is a long chain carbohydrate that becomes extremely slippery in water. So it's slippery when wet, right? Mucilage, mucosal integrity. That is important. Here's why it's important. So many women that we've heard about over time, right? So when women have been talking about this on social media for a while about not feeling protected, and why, yes, we're talking about, from external people on an external level. I'm talking about what you can do in terms of protecting yourself. Because here's the thing, you can't make someone else protect you, but you can put yourself in a situation where you protect yourself. So this is where we're talking about mucosal integrity. Mucosal integrity actually acts to protect the cells and create a lining in the cells, including the throat, the intestinal tract, the womb, right? It is that layer of protection from those things that would seek to come in and to deplete your system. So, ladies, when you are feeling like your womb is dry, when you are feeling like all of the moisture, all of the wetness, all of the mucilage has been drained from your womb, you want to pay attention to many things. But like I said, it's not just one thing, it's everything. It's everything. So you want to really till your soil, and that's your internal soil and your life. till your life, flip things upside down, get some shit shaken, right? See what's what, because you really want to see where you are over giving in any area, spiritually, emotionally, economically, right? Where you are over giving to the level that your internal protection, your internal mucilage is being depleted, that your guards are now down. And I don't mean that in a quote unquote good way. I mean it's in such a way that now other things can come in and invade your system and cause havoc in your system, because your protection has been, your protection has been drained, right? um and so that allows you to hold on to your liquidity. Do you get what I'm saying? So when we experience situations where you and we've all well, most of us, not everybody, right? We've had relationships where you are in a relationship with someone, and after that relationship, you feel completely drained on all of the levels. On all of the levels, your money funny, your pH ain't balanced. You feeling all of these things. You see what I'm saying? It really is everything, because it is your protection that protects your internal treasury, right? It protects those things that would be otherwise subject to, that they would be vulnerable without that layer of protection, without that mucosal integrity. And so the hydration on a deeper level, we're talking about watermelon, seeded fruit, y'all, is so key. The seeds are where the information is, right? The skin and the fiber, not the skin in these situations, but the fiber and the fibrous tissue is where the fiber, right? As well as the moisture and the hydration is. So things that will give you that deeper level of hydration, that are deeper than water, are water-based fruit, right? Mostly it's fruit, right? So it's water-based fruit, such as watermelon. Remember, all seeded: watermelon, cucumber, cantaloupe, honeydew, right? All of these, and if you listen, if you have any more, let me know. But watermelon is top tier. Oh, coconuts. So all of these things, they provide a deeper level of hydration on a cellular level. And so they actually help to build up your internal banking system so that you have liquidity in your storehouse, so that if something were to come and take something from you, you wouldn't be left, as my friend said, broke and broken, right? Um, and so this is where that deeper level of hydration comes. And eat the seeds. Eat the seeds. That's the information. You listen. The conversations that your cells will have when you like really are in tune with yourself and with your cells, there's so much that you end up learning about what it is that your body needs in order to be in this, in this state of liquidity and flow. Um, okay, so some of the other things that I want to talk about, like I said, I want to give you one herb for today, and that is marshmallow root in terms of this level of hydration. So in addition to the fruit, marshmallow root. Marshmallow root is called the master, or you can call it the master moisturizer. Constituents include mucilage polysaccharides, pectin, flavonoids, and I don't know how to pronounce this word, y'all, but I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it how it looks. Arab N O galactans. Anyway, ARABINOGALACTANS. What that says to me is it does something when it comes to the mammalian fluid of the body, because we're talking about galactans, and there's a type of herb that are called galactagogues. Galactagogues, like galaxy, right? So what they do is galactagogues generally work to help the body to create milk for when the body is getting prepared in order to give birth to a baby. And so it prepares the breast, it prepares the fluids, it prepares everything in order for you to be able to feed your creation from the creator to the creation, right? And now marshmallow root, so that is a part of these herbs that contain this ability to provide that to to help the body to restore that mucosal integrity. And with that being said, y'all, um before I move on to and I'll get back there, actually. I'll get back there. But because we're talking about galactagogues, I also want to tell you that part of this segment, of course, or part of this episode of SunDay Cervix Sermons is also brought to you by Titty Cream. Now, this is my own stash, but Titty Cream, and you see on here, right? Because you are the galaxy. You are that, right? And so I love titty cream. I love titty cream because it's made with goat's milk and lavender. It's like lavender scented goat's milk, right? Um, and it just it's not it's more of a, how would I describe the consistency? Yeah, it's more like a lotion, right? So it's not as thick as a body butter, generally speaking. Now it does contain like coconut. It does contain coconut oil, and it contains things to make it come together. However, it's not thick, like a shea butter would be. So it really is a like just a moisture to the boobs, to the breast, to the titties, because the intention with which titty cream was made. Let me just say this briefly. So, and here's the thing: I'm not, for legal reasons, I'm not making any medical claims. I'm going to just simply tell you the intention with which conscious creations created titty cream. So, oh yeah, I don't know what is in my eye. A friend of mine told me that her mother had been diagnosed with stage 0 breast cancer. And so this is where Titty Cream was birthed, because I started doing research and all of the things in ways to help support her mom, right? In terms of physically, right? Physically helping to bring and restore balance back to the body. And that is why that was the intention behind Titty Cream, or the energy in which Titty Cream was created. Because one of the things that I've come to realize is that so often women, we have been conditioned, literally conditioned, to give and give and give and give, and to allow any and everybody to suck on them titties, right? You're feeding everybody with your titties, with your energy. You just feeding everybody. And some of that, of course, has its roots in slavery, right? Because how could it not, right? And having to actually use your physical body supply to feed the children of someone who hated you, right? The psychological craziness of that. But even still, the women were expected to nurse all of these babies, all of these things, all of these energies, all to carry everybody on your back. And for those of my sisters who are large breasted and who have had back problems, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know exactly what I'm talking about. It's like carrying everybody on your back, but your back, but no one, but you don't have the support, the structure, right? This is why we talk the structured water, you don't have the physiological structure, or the physical, the spiritual, the emotional. You don't have that village. You don't have that support for you to carry all of these things that you're being asked to carry. And so titty cream is to say you don't have to carry all of those things anymore. It's okay to love yourself well. It's okay to take care of yourself. It's okay. And actually that's exactly what you need to do, is to take apply it to your skin. Apply it to your titties. right? Apply it to your titties with the understanding that the thymus gland, which is the basically the seat of the immune system, is like here, right? Where her head is, where we talk about these authority figures. That's what my shirt says, authority figures. But right here, right at the center mass, the thymus gland, the immune system. So is there any coincidence that the seat of your immune system happens to be in the center of your chest between the the life-giving, and more than that, right? So much more than that. But the life-giving breasts, the heart, all of the things, right? But the seat of your immune system. And so when we experience congestion in our fluids, what that looks like is lymphatic fluid that cannot flow, lymphatic fluid that cannot move. And so when we're talking about the lymphatic system, we are talking about we're talking about the base we're talking about the base of the skull, right? We're talking about, the nerves that flow down and giving yourself a massage. We're talking about under the arms, under the breast, up through. I like to do mine sort of like an infinity and like an infinity symbol, right? So like up around under the arms, because this is where your lymphatic fluid actually drains. And so all of the things that we talked about in the beginning in terms of stagnation, this is how it occurs, and it flows. You can get it to flow through your body because all of these things. So again, when you don't speak your truth, this is where things like the marshmallow root can come in. So if you have had any situation where your truth has been silenced, you haven't been able to speak your truth for whatever reason, marshmallow root can help you with that, right? So speaking your truth is key, because when you don't, the lymphatic fluids that are in your throat and around your throat area, they can become inflamed. You may notice that you may get sore throats or sinus infections, all of the things, right? Now, and it flows, the lymphatic fluid is designed to flow, through your body, but it flows, of course, down your arms and all of the things. And so under your arms, right, is also where it can start to accumulate. So you want to make sure that, of course, you're doing things to, hold have your arms up. So this is actually really good when you're doing your titty cream application, right? Applying it, I apply it under my arms, right? um Under my arms, and it's please know that it does not take the place of deodorant, baby. It does not do that. But this is for what it's for, because with the understanding that it's all connected. So it's sort of like doing a sweeping movement like this, and and up, right, under the other arm and back up, and then simply allowing the flow, right? So this is how I generally do when I do my applications of titty cream. And the why, because of the flow, everything that we're talking about with the flow of all of the things. So if you have been carrying or feeling like you are carrying, and you constantly feel like you have um your breasts just feel heavy with carrying other people, right? Then you want to consider making sure that you are really massaging and massaging and massaging your breast and releasing these energetic titty suckers, because they out here like folk that want you to mother them, right? They want you to mother them because they have not gotten to a place in their own maturation where they are able to mother themselves, right? And so take that for what it is. But so shout out to Titty Cream. So more on mucilage, and then we're gonna wrap it up, y'all, because it's been almost 50 minutes, and uh, if you still here with me, thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let me know where you're from. Let me know how you doing. Let me know if like I said, if you want me to email you this guide on all of the things that we're talking about here and the different herbs and things like that, if it is something that you believe is useful and it is something that you would actually use. So mucilage, some of the other things that are good for restoring mucosal integrity, chia seeds, flax seeds, okra, right? All of these are things that will help to restore that integrity. Because think about it, they all produce this. Again, one, like I said, well, the seeds in particular, because the seeds, of course, are seeds. So again, like I said before, once you take this earth element, which is the seed, right, that potential, and you add another element that is water, now you have earth and water combined, both powerful feminine frequencies come together to bring and to restore that mucosal lining within you. I'm not here to tell y'all that it's good. I'm here to tell you it's good for you. Okra. So I recently started doing okra water. Y'all probably have heard people talk about okra water and how it just, it gets your coochie right. But what I'm gonna tell you, even beyond that, right, is like I said, restoring that mucosal integrity to protect the integrity of your cells and your internal liquidity. Also, aloe. Now, this is for my fire sign girlies, all of us. Yes, fire signs: Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. Why am I talking about y'all? Because I'm also talking about me and Leo sun here, right? So, fire, fire is fire. Fire is drying, right? Fire is drying. So sometimes those of us who are very fiery or very fiery in the way that we express our passions, it is so key that your inner fire, your inner financial system, that FI, that phi, right? That inner phi, that fire, the five, what you doing with your hands, right? What you doing with your hands, what you doing with that energy, right? That's that fire energy, that phi, FI. What are you doing with that? That is affecting every single thing. Fire, aloe, aloe. Aloe is going to help you in order to quench that internal fire. And when I say quench, I didn't say put out, right? Because that's not the solution, right? You want to make sure that fire has proper direction. So that would be adding air, speaking your truth. Also adding a healthy amount of water or hydration or fluids or flow, right? In order to give that steam, to get it steamy, get it steamy. So, in order to make sure that internally you're not just like burning and going scorched earth on your own self, right? But you may want to add aloe water. Now you can do I haven't done the fresh aloe, y'all. Like I use that for my hair products, but I haven't drank the fresh aloe. What I have done though is I bought the aloe water. And like like how they have the gel, you can go to the store and get like the aloe, the inner leaf aloe gel. I don't enjoy the taste of it, I must admit that. But I do know that it is certainly when I'm feeling like my internal fire is on some next level stuff. Yeah, aloe is good for that. So if you have, let me know what kind of questions y'all got, what information you want to what information that you want to know when it comes to these, you know, SunDay Cervix Sermons and anything else. Let me know. Let me know what y'all want to talk about in the comments. But like I said, I think what I'm gonna do, at least for the next, I guess like 6 weeks, or 6 episodes, sermons, whatever we want to call them. We'll talk about the different ways to support the body in all of these endeavors and everything that the body needs to do in order, specifically the womb, but the body overall, obviously. In order to have the internal liquidity, the internal, electromagnetic frequency and current that it needs in order to be in this place of not just surviving, but in a place of overflow. So, let me see. I think there was, what else was it? I want to make sure I don't forget nothing, y'all, because I be having so much. But like I said, let me know if y'all want me to send you this. I will send you this so that you can read this, take a look for yourself. You can go to consciouscreations.live, go to the website. You can order the Flower of Life tea. And the Flower of Life tea, y'all, is made with of all of the herbs that are listed on the 24 herbs that we're talking about for womb wellness. And this particular blend of tea is nettle leaf, red raspberry leaf, cleavers, violet leaf and flowers, dandelion root, butterfly pea flower, rose petals, lavender flower, and blue lotus. So if that is something that you would benefit from, or you believe that you, or you know that you would benefit from, believe that you, go to the website, read about, read about each ingredient, read about what it's for. But just know at Conscious Creations, it is what it is, right? We create consciously with the knowing and with the intention for what it is that we bring forth. So I am so looking forward. I'm excited about these SunDay Cervix sermons. I'm looking forward to being back outside because it's a different vibe when you're, for me at least, because I like being outside. So it's a different vibe when I'm outside in my element. But anyway, I am so grateful for y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in. And also, like I said, the Goddess Temple 369. If you are interested in the Goddess Temple membership, you can go to the Goddess Temple 369 on school.com, or you can also go to my website, thetishahillman.com. And you can join the membership. It's $69 a month. And what we do is we deep dive. Like I said, we deep dive into these things. And so, one of the things that I've come to realize is that specifically for women, we heal communally. So one of the things that I'm working on and working to bring to you all is a wellness, not a retreat, just a wellness space. Like you come here and this is your wellness space where we can do all things wellness. And so that is why I do what I do, because I see and I know and I understand how coming together as women in these spaces and healing one another and sharing with one another and learning from one another is so key. It's so key. And this is why I have these conversations. And this is why I'm gonna close off with the Three Sisters River in Florida. So last summer, so I'm originally from Florida. So last summer, I went home and I was specifically looking for fresh bodies of water to go and to kayak, swim, just be, right? Because again, born and raised in Florida, had no idea, even though child it's a town, Clearwater, right? Didn't connect, right? I was so busy doing my thing, did not connect. So either way, Florida has natural, like when I'm sorry, like not, when I say natural, I mean fresh bodies of water. So fresh rivers and things like that. So I found one of these rivers called the Three Sisters River. And you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna find the pictures and I'm gonna post some of the pictures on the community board on this channel, on the Conscious Creations YouTube channel, y'all. So the Three Sisters River, let me tell you something. I've never, it was different than being in Aruba because I was in my own backyard. Something that I had not even realized was there. But this gym, I'm about to cry. Thing. And on that day it rained too. I went kayaking into this river because it was a whole thing, y'all. So I rented the kayak and I had to kayak in the middle of, this big body of water. And let me say something. The stuff that people be saying, freaking me out. So before I left, my sister and my niece and my mom were telling me, girl, it's alligators in this water. So I'm by myself, right? In the back of my mind, this is what I'm saying. I keep thinking, I can't see in this water. It's alligators in this water. If anything happens and I fall in this water, what am I going to do? So that's in the back of my mind, child. I'm out here trying to focus, but I'm also thinking about alligators anyway. So I have to kayak this whole little terrain to get to this part of the river where And it's so wild to watch nature in action, but so beautifully profound. Literally, the water is here, like the murky water that you, not even murky, but the water that you can't see through is like here. I guess the salt water, right? Is here. And I have to canoe right through this, like through this thing. Now, and again, the water isn't separated. There's nothing separating the water. Like there's not a barrier that says, okay, this is salt water, this is fresh water. That's the part that's so freaking crazy, but beautiful and profound. Because I literally like come from this water that I can't see through to kayaking through this narrow strait, right? This narrow, I don't know, entryway into this body of water that is hidden like off in a little cove, I guess. And now the water goes from I can't see through it to being crystal clear and fresh. So, and I'm like, I gotta see, is this really fresh water? So of course I get in the, I get off my little thing, my little canoe. I'm still thinking about the alligators up. So I get off my little kayak canoe thing, whatever, whatever. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is fresh, fresh water, like in my backyard. Like mind blown. Yeah, it was I ain't gonna cry. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. But if you ever get to, it's like it's a small town, y'all, and part of a lot of these places probably are. And I don't know. I haven't been to enough of them, obviously, to know. But this one was like in a small town and in like a neighborhood, like crazy, crazy, but absolutely amazing. And if you get a chance to go to any place that any river, right, that is a fresh water, y'all, it's a different connection. It's a different connection. And so listen, I love y'all. If you are here with me, I love you. And I am so grateful for you being here. I'm so grateful for you choosing you. And if you have made it 62 minutes listening to me, I am so great. Listen, we go together at this point. And so I expect to see you here next Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the next episode of SunDay Cervix Sermons. And yeah, cellular hydration, y'all. Cellular hydration. That's where it's at. But until next time, love yourself well because you deserve it.